Now is a great time to take a look at your roses in the landscape and do a little pruning if you need to. Usually we start pruning in about mid-March in Oklahoma, but it will depend on where you live and the temperatures. And usually we want to start about the time that the buds are just starting to swell. On this shrub here, you can see the shoots have already kind of broken out, but it's still early, and so we're going to go ahead and do a little pruning. Now it helps to know what types of roses you have. There are several different varieties and types out there, and some are pruned a little bit harder than others. Now the modern roses, such as the hybrid teas, Floribundas, grandiflores, and the miniatures, those are the ones that we typically prune pretty hard. And we're going to clean those up. We'll prune them back about half to even maybe 2/3 the size of the plant. And we're typically going to look for pruning them back to about 3 to 5 main canes, and then pretty much clean out everything else. This will encourage good new growth, strong, healthy growth that will produce lots of flowers because they bloom on the current season's wood. Other types would include things like the landscape roses, the shrub roses that we use, and typically we don't prune those as much. They usually just need a little bit of light pruning, maybe a little shaping, and maybe a little thinning out. One of the purposes of pruning them so much is air movement. One of the problems we have with a lot of the roses are foliar diseases. And so we want to make sure that there's good air circulation through the shrub so that we can reduce the amount of disease that may occur on the plants. So we have a shrub here, then this one hasn't been pruned for a little while, so we're going to really cut this one back pretty hard. So one of the things that you look at first are the dead, dying, and diseased types of branches, and we'll start by removing some of those. They have some down here inside the shrub. And now two types of pruners I use on roses are the hand pruners. I like the bypass type versus the anvil type. This gives a nice clean cut, where the anvil type has a tendency to crush the stem when you cut it. And then a good pair of loppers. These will of course work on some of the larger canes that we're gonna attack. So we'll start by pruning out some of these inner branches that are dead. We've got some dead ones down in here. Oh, that one looks like it's been broken. We got a really big one down in here. Big old cane that's been there for a while. We'll get rid of it and clean these out. Now, of course, as everybody knows, roses are quite thorny, so it's a good idea to wear some good, sturdy leather gloves. And if you can actually find some that go up your arm, that's even better, to help avoid all the scratches that you'll get. And we're just going to start removing opening this up a little bit by removing some of the inside branches. Typically when we cut, we're going to, when we start making our final cuts here, we're going to prune back to an outside pointing bud. And so that that new shoot will start growing out away from the center of the shrub versus inside. And that again helps open up the center of the shrub. As you can see, we've really taken a lot of material out of this shrub. I'm getting down to the last few cuts, a couple of more pointers. You don't want to leave any shoots that are smaller than a pencil size. Those are weak shoots and just kind of rob the plant of vigor. So we're going to go ahead and remove those. They won't produce very strong flowers anyway. And then another thing to remember too is a lot of our roses are grafted roses. So if you have shoots coming down well below the graft, that's another rose, and usually it's a wild rose, and you don't want those, so you'll want to remove any suckers that might be coming out. So we're going to finish cleaning up here. We're going to cut all these back again to looking for an outside bud as we remove these back. And again, if they're competing, they're too close together, remove those. Okay, so this is what you would do to some of the modern roses. Again, the hybrid teas, Floribundas, grandiflores, and the miniature roses. This is the extreme pruning that you'll give it, and they'll come back nice and provide some beautiful roses, beautiful flowers. Let's go take a look at one of the landscape roses that we prune just a little bit differently. Here's one of our landscape roses, and it's really not in too bad a shape. It's getting a little full and probably will want to do a little thinning out. But in this case, again, we're not going to do a lot of pruning. You can see in here we have some some dead material, some possibly diseased and damaged material, anything that's got these black and reddish marks on the stems probably ought to come out. We also have, kind of interesting, there's a shoot, a couple shoots coming out from below here. They're shooting back into the center of the shrub, and we'll remove those as well. So if you notice on this plant too that it has the rose hips on it, and a lot of times people will remove the old spent blossoms to encourage the plants to bloom more and to keep it nice, neat, and tidy. But in this case, the rose hips are actually very attractive. They last well into the winter months, and the birds love them, and they can be a good source of vitamin C too if you're interested in that. So we'll go ahead and remove, just to clean this up just a little bit. We're going to start by removing this big shoot down here that's shooting in towards the center of the shrub. Now that we have that removed, we're going to just go ahead and start cleaning up the dead and the disease stuff and clean this up. And other than that, we probably won't do much to this shrub. So there you have it. We have a shrub that's been cleaned up, got rid of the dead stuff, thinned it out a little bit. It looks a lot cleaner, a lot nicer, and it's ready for a new growing season.